Greetings, everyone. My name... Hello, everyone. My name is Logan Lentz. I'm going to be your host for the next couple hours. I'm a software engineer at lilypad.tech. In this upcoming conversation, we're going to explore how we can ensure that the future of Ethereum doesn't have the same fate as our friends over at Atom. I'm happy to introduce Jill Gunter from Espresso Systems to lead this panel. Thank you, Jill.
Great, thank you so much. Yes, indeed, I am Jill Gunter. I'm with a company called Espresso Systems. We're building a modular composability layer for Ethereum. I'm not, in fact, Rushi from Movement, though that's what you might have thought if you were to look at the program for this. And today we're going to be talking about, is ETH the next Atom, and what that might mean. So this is primarily geared towards those who might be a little bit familiar with the Cosmos ecosystem. Hopefully that's most of you. If it's not, you're going to learn a thing or two about the history of Cosmos, where it's come from, where it's going, the good, the bad, and the ugly of that. I don't know if you've all noticed, but Ethereum price action has not been great relative to the rest of the market over the last year or so. Particularly, I would say, over the last 3 or 4 months. While a lot of the rest of the crypto industry has experienced a boom, in particular with assets like Bitcoin and Solana catching a major bid, we've had stagnation in Ethereum. And a lot of people are blaming that on Ethereum's fragmentation. A lot of people are blaming that on a move to the modular roadmap by Ethereum. What I'm talking about here is the advent of all of these roll-ups that are scaling Ethereum horizontally and all of the infrastructure that's being built around those. And that, if you look at it, looks a lot like Cosmos. So that's what we're going to unpack and explore today. Is Ethereum destined to have the same fate, good or bad, as Cosmos? And what does that mean for the Ethereum ecosystem? So I'm joined here by some builders, all of whom I think got their start or have spent a meaningful portion of their career in the Cosmos ecosystem. And we're going to learn a lot from them about that history today. So if I can ask you each to just do a 2-minute intro on yourselves, and in particular, if you can give the context of how you're related to the Cosmos ecosystem.
Absolutely. So good morning, everyone. My name is Charles. I'm the CEO of the DYDX Foundation. And DYDX has a very special story which fits well with this panel, I believe. DYDX started on Ethereum, built on layer 1 in the early days, and then on Starkware. And about 1.5 years ago, the DYDX chain came to Genesis. And so we have this experience on both sides of the ecosystem. For those of you who don't know DYDX so much, we are an app chain now, built on Cosmos, and we focus on perps. So we are a DeFi protocol. And last year, in 2024, we moved about $270 billion of trading volume. So a lot of activity, which is enabled by the stack of DYDX now, built on the Cosmos SDK.
Thank you, Charles. Chjango.
Hello, I'm Chjango Unchained, and I'm one of the, the original builders of the Cosmos ecosystem. I run a podcast called Unchained FM, which is the Cosmos radio station, and a validator, if any of y'all stake Atom or Osmo. And now I'm doing much less serious stuff with AI and meme coins. So there you go.
Hey guys, I'm Rushi, one of the founders of Movement. We're not at all Cosmos right now, but my heritage and background, how I got into crypto is actually Cosmos. My family friend was Sunny, who's the founder of Osmosis. In 2022, I was writing Cosmosm, pain in the ass, don't write it, please. And I was really interested in alternative programming languages. I hated Solidity, think it's a horrible language, and don't think it scales. Cosmosm, for those that don't know, is a Rust-based variant. Similar to like Solana's C-level and Move VM. It's a different variant. So yeah, my background heritage is Cosmos, tinker around with the Filecoin on Cosmos back in the day, wrote a lot of Cosmosm, and generally I'm a fan of the Cosmos philosophy. we'll probably get into this, but I think Cosmos as a philosophy has won. You think about app chains, you think about look at every single crypto app that exists and will ever exist. They will launch their own chain. It's in their own business to do. I think the Cosmos execution was poorly done, and we can probably talk about why Atom is doomed.
So, Chjango, I want to start with you on that point that Rushi just left off on, the Cosmos philosophy, because you were around from the very early days of building out the Cosmos ecosystem. And at the time, this kind of, I think, 2016, 2017 era, there were all of these alt L1s coming about. And I think that Cosmos really differentiated itself, if I recall correctly, in terms of its vision, by not saying, we are going to be the one chain to rule them all, but rather embracing this vision of many chains. So can you talk a little bit about just what that time was like in crypto and how Cosmos differentiated?
Right. It's easy to look backwards and you have 2020 vision, right? And so at that time, the thesis was, or rather the meta was that Ethereum was the app store for all future consumer apps in this one monolithic chain, and Cosmos was the contrarian vision that said and pioneered the notion of there's going to be multiple different blockchains. There's going to be more blockchains that are going to be application specific, and that's the way that you're going to scale. But how do they get networked in such a way as to create this higher layer of aggregation such that consumer level applications could leverage all the application-specific benefits of each underlying blockchain? So that thesis ended up being correct, and I believe that the space is still largely trending in that direction. We're not going backwards. So we're going to see it play out where there's going to be an internet of blockchains. These blockchains are going to be networked. Right now, they're networked through a series of centralized bridges or centralized exchanges, but the technology is there such that we can network them in a permissionless and decentralized way. And so there's going to be an internet of blockchains, and within the internet of blockchains, there are going to be monolithic chains. Does that mean that everything is going to be living on one monolithic blockchain? I think we've already seen as an industry that that doesn't scale, and that's not going to be the case. So the hopeful takeaway is that the modular thesis will stay. The jury's still out. Just because price action doesn't reflect that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be untrue.
So Charles, I want to get your perspective here, because DYDX was, in my memory, the first major application to commit to launch on an Ethereum L2. I remember at the time being kind of blown away of oh wow, this is the L2 thing is really happening. This is how we're going to scale. DYDX is moving to Starkware. And obviously then things evolved and the needs of your product and your ecosystem changed, and you moved into Cosmos, and then things have further evolved since then. So in just a couple of minutes, can you walk us through sort of what that evolution looked like? Because I think this is a good way to draw the parallel between the Cosmos roadmap, some of Chjango, what you just talked about, how Cosmos saw the future a little bit and Ethereum caught up.
So essentially, some of the reasons why DYDX moved away from the Ethereum ecosystem to Cosmos was to essentially keep progressing into the decentralization roadmap. At the time, the technology available, should it be layer 1s or layer 2s, was only enabling DYDX to decentralize that much. In short, the order book, which is the core of DYDX on Starkware, was still off-chain on AWS servers. And I think the engineers of DYDX have this philosophy to keep scanning the market and trying to evaluate whenever there is a technology upgrade which enable us to progress in decentralization. And when the Cosmos SDK kind of matured, it was kind of a signal for the engineers at DYDX to think, okay, can we eventually find an architect and design something so we can get this order book decentralized in some shape or form? So fast forward, the engineers have been working on that, and it has essentially helped DYDX to decentralize. So now the core engine of DYDX, the order book, is technically not on-chain. It's decentralized in a way that is sitting on the top of the 60 active validators of the chain. But the philosophy was really keep progressing on decentralization, being very aware of our identity. We are a DeFi ecosystem, and we just want to leverage the technology. What it means for us today is that the DYDX chain is really optimized for the use case we have. We're not building on general purpose blockchain anymore. So it has enabled essentially engineers to kind of clean up the code and keep only what is required for DYDX. So building a Formula One for trading. And then we leverage some other chains from the ecosystem of Cosmos, the Cosmos Hub, but also the Noble chain, which is hosting USDCs, which is one of the core assets of DYDX.
So having had these experiences and having had that kind of evolution, are you feeling optimistic about Cosmos and maybe also about Atom, two separate things, you know, the Cosmos stack and then Atom as an asset?
Now we are going to the hard question.
Yes, yeah.
Here we are.
I threw you each a softball and now it's
I think if you look at the evolution and what Ethereum has picked potentially from the Cosmos roadmap and the Cosmos stack, Ethereum is evolving towards modularity. Ethereum is thinking of sharding, which is essentially kind of being inspired from the opportunities you have when you work on the Cosmos SDK. So from the technology side, I think there is a lot of things which work in parallel or have been inspired from each other. So Ethereum has benefited, in my opinion, from some of the progress made on the Cosmos SDK. On the asset itself, it's not the case. That's my personal opinion.
It's not okay.
I think ETH still have a way stronger network effect. The brand of Ethereum is way stronger than Atom. There is also like institutional engagement, which is way stronger as well. So here on that front, I think Atom as the asset has not really delivered. And if you look at how Ethereum roadmap has evolved, also Ethereum has kept the Ethereum roadmap has kept ETH the asset at the center of it. So when we see the push of the Ethereum community towards rollups and bridges, you see they go in the directions technically of the SDK from Cosmos, but they keep ETH the asset at the heart of it.
And you view ETH the asset as fundamentally different.
Exactly. That's not the case on the Cosmos side. So maybe that's something to work on for the ICF Foundation, working with the community and thinking more deeply like, what do we want to do with the Atom? All these sovereign chains are very independent within the Cosmos ecosystem, and this created some challenges or debates.
Chjango, I'm going to come to you, but I want to hear from Rushi actually first, because Rushi, maybe starting with a very simple, just yes/no kind of question. Is movement an L2 or an L1?
We're technically a sidechain, which we identify more with the L1 side. I don't want to be L2. Ever.
Okay, fair enough. So why choose to build a sidechain as opposed to building a chain in the Cosmos ecosystem, which is where your heritage is, or building an Ethereum L2? And then if you can link that back to kind of how you feel about each stack and the asset associated.
I think the way we look at Ethereum is like there is going to be an experimentation of all kinds of rollups, L1s, L2s. Like Unchained, for example, is technically some degree of sidechain. It has a TEE. It's not a clean OP stack rollup, and they have their own tech. And like you look at Polygon POS back in the day as a sidechain. I think like the way we think about it is we still believe in ETH as an asset class. Yes, it hurts, but in 2022, I built the first DEX in Aptos, and the biggest issue with these new L1s was getting liquidity, and even Cosmos L1s, right? Yeah. The issue is attracting liquidity, keeping liquidity sticky. Whether we like it or not, ETH is still a top asset. Most funds, DeFi users hold ETH on the balance sheet and use that to use DeFi every day. So for us, our decision-making calculus was we like the language, we like Move, we want to bring it to Ethereum and mix ETH as an asset class as a core liquidity provider for all DeFi on Movement.
What about Atom?
Look, I don't believe in Atom. I think maybe it's just jaded Cosmos dev from 2021, but my stance is that for an ecosystem to succeed, it has to move in one unit. The reason why Solana succeeds today is because it's one unit. The ecosystem apps, the foundation, labs, Anza, all works in one cohesive unit. 2021, Cosmos even today feels like a war, to say the least. Ethereum is actually approaching that, which makes me a little scary as well, but that's why we didn't go the Cosmos route.
Chjango, are you going to be our Cosmos bull?
Yes, ma'am. So you sort of go through series of lows and highs, and so you become a Cosmos bear when you see all the drama, and then you become a Cosmos bull when you kind of like zoom out and get the 10,000 foot vision. And so I agree with you about liquidity and needing liquidity to aggregate and for an ecosystem to move as a single unified unit in order for it to do something interesting for consumer applications. I agree. However, a disparate tech stack does not preclude that if we are talking about 2 to 5 years into the future when the tech stack is going to be abstracted away and there's going to be aggregation layers upon aggregation layers, like what Polaris is doing, like what Sunny is building now with this unified UI that's going to act as an aggregation layer for all the disparate chains. And so it could aggregate the longest end of the long tail of liquidity and still aggregate all these disparate pools in a cohesive way. So Polaris actually does bridging in a way that's more effective than anything else out there. And so I would argue that liquidity is also almost like fragmented liquidity will be a problem of the past being today and and we're going to get there is what.
So Chjango, that's about the stack.
Yeah.
How about relating this
Right.
back to the asset? I'm curious your take.
Okay, so I would love to update you guys on the latest on what the ICF is doing. So Ethereum got the platform correct. It got it so right, and with Cosmos people, we were sort of tech maxis, and price action business go-to-markets kind of like as an ancillary afterthought.
Yeah.
And so now with the new leadership, the ICF just merged with Skip Protocol. These are builders, and they have a good business sense on their head, and they're wanting to trend Atom into a more of like a base layer platform asset. So the Cosmos Hub will act as more of like the main chain base layer that Ethereum has conventionally has done. And so the chains, we have ICS, we have interchain security, and that's the way that we use Atom to act as the base layer with all these different L1s acting as side chains that checkpoint back into Atom. And there's going to be a business case such that, so in Cosmos, we have a problem with integration. It's actually the overhead of integrating Cosmos app chains is, it's not going to be the right complexity, but let's just say like ON complexity. I'm not doing, as opposed to O1, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with ERC20s, as opposed to SPL20s, the complexity is O1.
Yeah.
So with the Cosmos Hub becoming more of a platform, it's going to do that because it's going to basically do like custodying of the assets that ICS is onto
And
the hub.
that's going to make Atom more parallel to ETH.
Yeah. And that's what's happening now. So I hope that.
I think it's maybe a good time also for Atom to kind of get inspired from ETH and look at how the Ethereum community has put in place the EIP 1555 regarding inflations and making sure that there is some kind of positive flywheel. When you stake, you're not fighting against inflation. You're staking because the asset is gaining in value, and there is some kind of positive kind of feedback loop here. So the same way Ethereum arguably have picked some ideas from Atom and Cosmos, I think Atom should be picking some ideas from Ethereum as well. Can you double click for us on IBC Eureka?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
IBC Eureka?
Eureka.
Eureka.
Have you followed those developments?
No.
Yeah.
Which is supposedly out by end of March, I believe, and will be enabling essentially the Cosmos Hub, if I remember well, correct me if I'm wrong, to bring natively assets from other chain. Should it be Solana,
Wow,
Ethereum? I think they did an experience on XRP a few weeks ago. So this can enable also many more chains to forget the bridge risk and thinking, okay, I might get some natively assets within the Cosmos ecosystem, leveraging, and DYDX might be leveraging this in the coming months.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
Stay tuned.
That would be huge. Rushi, I want to hear how you think about the three dynamics that Chjango just brought up. So there's go-to-market, there's the tech, and then there's this third lever of price. As you're building out the movement ecosystem, how do you think about prioritization and flywheels and all of these things? Because you've taken lessons from being firsthand both in Cosmos and in Ethereum.
I think above all, community matters most because community is your user base. When shit hits the fan, they're there for your side. When shit's up, they're reaping the benefits. So I actually answer none to all three. They all probably correlate to community because community matters for all that stuff. Where I think Cosmos went wrong is the community fought each other. Where Solana is going right is the community is unified. So even right now, I'd say Solana is experiencing a lot of FUD and downturn, and the community is like, we're shipping. I don't care. I don't even look at the charts. So when you have that kind of resilience, and the founders, foundation, ecosystem is all aligned for one mission, you can't lose. So I think that's also something that Ethereum is struggling with right now, in the identity crisis, and hopefully movement can be different.
All right, we're going to close on one very rapid-fire question for each of you. I just want a little recap. Bullish ETH, bullish Atom, bearish ETH, bearish Atom. Where do you stand? Charles, starting with you.
Bullish ETH.
Bullish ETH, bullish Atom, bullish the modular thesis. Just
All right,
write
bullish
this down,
the
come back to
modular
me in 5
thesis.
years. So
Yeah.
what's that?
Bullish the modular thesis. I love it.
Yeah, that's right.
Bullish ETH, bearish Atom.
Bruh.
All right. Fortunately,
Sorry.
I'm the moderator, so I don't have to answer. But thank you so much. I learned a lot from this. I really appreciate all of the insights, all of the alpha here. I learned a lot about the Cosmos ecosystem and roadmap. I think that there's a lot of lessons for Ethereum to look to Cosmos and learn. And I also think that there's a lot of lessons for Cosmos to now look at Ethereum and take away from.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Chjango, you touched on that. So thank you all.
And vice versa.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cows are voting, vibes are flowing, buff-eyed corns are still a-growing, while the